A very good evening, dear viewers, once again, and welcome to the fourth match that is being played today. Penultimate day, no, ultimate day, which is the judgment day of the ongoing ATA Super 8-man competition, which is in its second edition. Here we are having the losers bracket final. Earlier today, the winners bracket final was won by Zambia's Kelvin Fikoti Nkandu. The other two players that have only lost once in the double elimination competition are Uganda's Caesar Chandiga and Kenya's Brian Kiptalam, guys who faced off against each other in the semi-finals of their first life, which was the winners bracket. The match that was won by Brian Kiptalam, the match in which he started with 7 frames, courtesy of poor timekeeping by Caesar. The 3 players involved in the competition are the 3 players that will be taking the 3,500 US dollars, with number 1 taking 2,000, number 2 1,000, and number 3 500 US dollars. They will be sharing that money that way in whatever the order. Kelvin is, however, assured of at least 1,000 US dollars. Whoever wins this match will also be assured of at least 1,000 US dollars, and whoever loses this match will be third. The winner will be taking on Kelvin and will have to beat him twice in the final because he has his 2 lives intact in the competition. Final, that shall be probably a longer race, and having to beat a player of Kelvin's level twice. And while Kelvin is being rested, that is the advantage of winning your games in double elimination competition. When you keep winning, you play less matches and you are fresh by the time you play the grand final, and your opponent will have to beat you twice. Uganda's Caesar Chandiga will have to pay sweet revenge on Kenya's Brian Kiptalam, who did beat him in a race to 11. This one is a longer race to 13 that is being timed to exactly 2 hours, in which the first match is having Caesar going for it right from the word go. Brian Kiptalam was the last player to be named in the lineup of 8 players that is participating in this competition, because after agreement with the organizers of the Grand Mchana Open, there was resolution that it has to be the player that wins the Shujaa wa Kenya, the Mchana Open that has only Kenyan players in participation, the tournament that determines who is Kenya's national champion, who is Brian Kiptalam. And part of being Kenya's national champion comes a place in the ATA Super 8 competition as part of the rewards. Caesar to Port Black for the first time in the first frame against Brian. It is Caesar 1 and Brian Kiptalam 0, race to 13. Second time that these 2 players are facing off in 2 days. Majority of players that registered for this competition have been shown an exit first, and unexpectedly, you have to remember the first player completely out was South Africa's Ishmael Mtetwa. Other players that have been exited since then have been Tanzania's Abdallah Hussein, Malawi's Stanford Griven Gente. Of course, you did see South Africa's Jeremiah Naido. And then before then, of course, Zimbabwe's Malvan Makonza. It is now a 3-man comp. And one of 3 players has not yet been beaten. He has to be beaten twice, Kelvin Fikoti. And for Caesar, as well as Brian Kiptalam, to be eliminated from the competition, they have to be beaten only once, because they have been beaten already. Anyway, Caesar losing to Brian Kiptalam himself this time yesterday, while Brian Kiptalam losing to Kelvin Fikoti in the winners bracket final earlier today. And I hope that you are getting the explanation clear on how double elimination competitions work out. And be reminded that whoever wins this match has to be in Kelvin twice in the final or else succumb to second position. Which second position will be coming anyway with a respectable 1,000 US dollars. There is also a trophy for the winner, by the way, and medals for the top 3 that will be in whatever order. Maybe I can use alphabetical order. Brian, Caesar, Kelvin. In whatever order, there will be number 1, 2, and 3. Caesar will probably be so angry while playing against Brian, who did beat him yesterday. What a match it was, that one. He came 35 minutes late. And after 1 hour of the start of play, and the absent player loses 5 minutes after every frame. And after 35 minutes, also after the hour of the start of the walkover countdown, Caesar lost 7 frames. That is why Brian Kiptalam started the 7 frames in the match. But for now, it is Caesar who is having 1 game lead, and it is Caesar who is winning a second, both of which frames are being won by single visit clearance. Caesar versus the black to make it 2-0, which he does. There is only one person in the crowd who is clapping his hands when Caesar puts the black. A Ugandan in the crowd just told me that he's part of the Ugandan community living in Nairobi. The rest are, of course, Kenyan, and they will hopefully be waiting for Brian to start winning some frames, and then the Swahili chants will start. Once again, Caesar Chandega 2, Brian Kiptalam 0, rest to 13 for a place in the grand final of the ongoing ATS Super 8 competition, second edition at Mchana Pub and Grill, Nairobi. Now playing the Reds. Brian is pretty much a junior to some of these guys that are bulls on the African continent. And I just have to applaud his strength and courage playing against them, giving them a very good run for their money. Having it toe-to-toe against a player of Kelvin's level, although Brian came a little too short. In the end, he led 8-7, then lost the last 4 frames in a row, losing the match 11-8. A big likelihood that this one shall momentarily be 3-0. The Mchana Pub and Grill has, up to now, flags of all the players that were participating in the Grand Mchana Open Championship still flying at the venue. apart from the Ugandan flag that was taken down by Caesar's people as they are celebrating his victory over the Grand Mchana Open. I won't tell you who, but I know them. But Caesar will be needing backspin of the white ball off the cushion, just like that. And how beautifully it is gliding towards the black, having an almost perfect straight line between the white, black, and the center pocket, which Caesar uses to pot and increase his lead to 3-0. Lotto, as he was first nicknamed, nowadays also called the Jaguar, is having the big shoulders of the entire Kenyan country to represent as he tries to take down one of the best players on the continent in what should be now the biggest match, by the way, of his career. Not in terms of cash prizes that comes with the victory, but in terms of the event, the stage and stature of his opponent. He's Kenya's national champion after winning the Shujaa wa Kenya, a player with Rakatak Pool Club all the way in Kisumu in Western Kenya. Traveled quite some distance, around at least 7 if not 8 hours on the road from Kisumu to Nairobi. Unless the driver is a very fast driver, like Moses Opio. Thank you for watching. Kanso Waswa Silas must be watching the match from somewhere in Jinja, in eastern Uganda. And VIC says it is now safe to say that the fight for Africa's best players between Caesar and Aiden, you think Jerry is slowly receding? Your point is noted, sir. It is becoming increasingly clear that maybe Caesar could be a little bit too much for Brian. Sometimes he's not even given a chance to play. And most of the viewers in the stands can only watch and pray that the Scorpion has his match come a little bit too short for the Jaguar to utilize and make a comeback. It is 4-0. Caesar leading against Brian Kipchalam. I will later be advising you on the name of the guy that is updating our scoreboard. Caesar 5 and Kiptalam 0. As Brian Kiptalam gets a first time out at the end of the first 5 frames, in which he is clearly being outplayed, outthought, outcompeted, and well beaten by Caesar. He needs to start winning, Brian Kiptalam, and to start winning now, or else it may be a little bit too late. Once again, the match resumes in 2 minutes. It's Caesar 5 and Brian Kiptalam 0.
Action resumes. Frame number 6, Brian in control. It's been a rather one-sided game so far, with Caesar grabbing fast onto the first 5 frames of this encounter, and also delivering 2 break and dishes. Will this be the 3rd break and dish of the match from Brian? It will be his first if he manages to. Yellows are looking good, the remaining yellows. He just needs to focus, take his time, and execute. Looks composed. He's not feeling too threatened by the lead, the massive gap opened up by Caesar here. Good topspin, good potting. 2 yellows to go. Should take that to center. Cushion bounce, bit of a spin, and onto the black. Bit of left English there. Long range pot, but I'm sure nothing he cannot handle. Good potting there, Brian. I think that break did him good. A good break, as in breaking the balls after the break. And a good finish as well. Break and finish from Brian. Brian 1 and Caesar 5 in a race to 13 or best of 25 frames. It's crunch time. Whoever loses here is our automatic 3rd place finisher for the tournament. The curtains come down tonight on this awesome tournament. An awesome tournament it has been. 3-day tournament, the 2nd edition of the ATA Super 8 Africa Comp. The 1st edition was in Uganda. The 2nd edition now is in Kenya, in the capital, Nairobi. The venue is here, Mchana Pub and Grill, along Gong Road, opposite Prestige Plaza. Beautiful venue. Beautiful vibes, beautiful people, beautiful everything. It's good all round. A frame number 7. Good value for entertainment too. He breaks and pots. Caesar cruising on here on the reds. A good pot, but positioning not so good. It's a little stressful. Maybe a super fine cut to center. Can only just make it. I'm not sure if there's a clear path for him to take a red down to the corner pocket. He may just make it. He squats, even to get a clearer view, to measure, to see if he can make it past those yellows there to make a pot. Looks really tricky, but achievable maybe. Or a thin cut to center. Either way, it's a very tricky shot and has to be precise. It was difficult, to be fair. Lucky shot. He's a gentleman too, apologizing for that fluke there. Luck and skill goes hand in hand. Good one there. He's still in the running to record a break and run here. 3 reds to go. Chance to Brian. After Caesar fluked there on the red, but was lucky with the pot, but unlucky with the positioning of the cue ball. Lucky for Brian. He lives to see another day as far as this frame is concerned. Will it be 5-2 at the end of this? I tip him to try and go for it. To clear this with one visit. It's cut there past the red. Placing his yellow in the pocket. It does not drop, but blocks off the path for Caesar's ball into that pocket. It's frozen onto the cushion, making for a skill shot to be difficult. Bank shot maybe for that last red to that same pocket near the black. Can he squeeze past? I don't think he can. Or maybe he can. A very small gap that he's managed to squeeze past. Well done to Caesar. Brian failed to punish Caesar there. And Caesar extends his lead 6-1. The crowd is clapping, thoroughly entertained. I am, and I hope you are too. Very good cueing, very good entertainment. It's quite a show. 7 frames down. Several more to go. It's a first to 13 or best of 25 frames. It's rather one-sided at the moment, but could tables turn. Caesar doing a lot better than Brian in all aspects, from the break, the clearances, and I guess cue ball management and included in all that. Can his luck turn around, or is he doomed? So far, so good as far as this frame is concerned. He breaks, spotting one yellow, and is set to cruise on. Not an easy clearance to make here. But let's see what tricks he may have up his sleeves. It's been a very interesting 3-day encounter here. After a 4-day tournament, China Pub and Grill tournament, that was grabbed by Caesar. Now Caesar Chandigarh, the defending champion of the Atta Super 8-man comp after winning the first one in Uganda, is facing Brian Kiptalam as they battle it out to book a spot in the grand final of this tournament. Kelvin Gandhi already sitting nice and pretty in that final there, waiting to face whoever wins between these two. 3 yellows here remain for Brian. One problematic one, I think he may open it up now. A bit of left English should do the trick. What a trick. Good one. 2 to go. Well played there. I think the break really did him justice. I think he's cueing a lot better than he was prior to break time. He has so far delivered 1 break and dish, and this may be his second. Caesar has delivered 2 of those 2 break and dishes. There have been no reverse dishes so far, no foul breaks or any other foul of any nature during a frame. Good one there, Brian Kittanam. The crowd is clapping. Another frame in his favor. 6-2 he fights on in a race to 13. Frame number 9. Caesar breaks and does not pot. I think this is going to be a very interesting frame, largely due to the position of the black there. Blocking off the path of some yellows and reds to the pocket there. Could turn tactical here. Brian's opted for the yellows. A good thinking. I think it really just boils down to that layout. Corner left, corner pocket. Unfortunate bump off there as he tried to double that ball. Collision with the cue ball. And Caesar is back on. Looking pretty good, I think. There's a very good chance of clearing. Maybe a skill shot now, potting the red and opening up the corner pocket for the black. If he does not, he still has, okay, never mind the rest of that sentence. The black is open. All he needs to do now is clear the remainder of his reds. 3 of those remain now. Seven-two looming. Ah, how's that for a drag shot? Good one, good play. Bit of right English, nicely positioned for a finish, and down to the black, which even I can pot 10 out of 10 times. Anyway, good one there. Good one, Caesar. Good for you. 7-2. He continues to lead in a race to 13. He needs 6 frames to clear. Brian needs a whole 11. One-sided match so far. What an encounter. The odds are heavily stacked against Brian here. If it continues on in this vein, we may very well witness a final between Kelvin and Caesar. A total of 9 frames seen to completion out of 25. Maximum 25. It's a race to 13. So from here on out, we'll see anything from 6 frames if Caesar wins all the remaining frames, or 16 frames if it goes all the way to the wire. Good break there, Brian. 1 red down. He charges on. Yellows it looks like. Done deal on the yellows. He just needs to pot away and plot away. It's looking good for Brian, although he's not totally out of the woods yet. I don't think I'm too pleased with the position of the cue ball. A little more further from the cushion would have been best to make the cut easier and better there for that yellow in bulk and positioning for that yellow near the center. He's not happy with it. I think cue ball rolled a little too much. But he can still manage it. He did not. More right English would have been best, I think. And has found himself in a little bit of a predicament. A very threatening one. If he fails to clear here, Caesar may just do it. I don't know how feasible a pot would be to the top right corner pocket of your screen here. Maybe bumping the yellow off the red to pot of the corner, or a bank. Bank shot executed wrong. Chance to Caesar. His first visit of this frame. And I'm sure is looking to clear. Not easy. He's taking his time. He needs to. Not easy, but achievable. Good stroke, good pivot, good stance, and makes it look so easy. I'm sure he does find it easy as well. But pool is hard, yo. Pool is hard. It's not as easy as it looks, as easy as they make it seem. The big boys, Brian from Kenya, Caesar from Uganda. Not the ideal positioning. The cue ball there. I think cue ball frozen to a cushion makes it a little harder to make a pot. Execution was off as well. I think I saw a slight frown on Caesar's face there. He wasn't too pleased with it. With his execution there. Chance back to Brian. I tip him to try and just go for the kill and make sure, and that he does. Is down to the black, which I think he can pot 10 out of 10 times. Pot he does 7-3. Good fight he's putting up. But the Scorpion Sting has been proving too lethal at the moment. See him taking a sip of water there, making sure he stays hydrated. I think I need a sip myself. Some very mouth-watering shots I'm seeing. A little one-sided. Unlike the last matchup we saw prior to this, it was Jeremiah versus Caesar. That was edge of your seat kind of thrill. This one a little more one-sided, but hope is not lost for Brian. He's trailing, but you never know. It's not over till the whistle blows. 10 frames down, frame number 11. Caesar to break. When I look at it, this frame looks very difficult to clear. But I'm sure he's already mapped out a clearance pattern. See him tapping the table there, trying to communicate with the cue ball, telling it to stop its motion there. Potential green apple loading here. For Caesar, the Scorpion. He's in fine form, but not a fine shot. Snookered himself. Plan B. Oh, what a shot. Good recovery there. Cue ball position a little tricky, but if he makes the pot, he does not. So never mind the rest of that sentence. Brian now. His first visit. And pots. Very confidently. If that bank shot had gone wrong, I think your guess is as good as mine. Caesar would have gone for an easy kill. Brian here going for the kill, not so easy. But I have high hopes in him as far as this frame is concerned. Just needs to focus, take his time, and do the deed. Execution. Wrong. I don't know if he can maybe try and bank that red to center. Maybe kicking that yellow out of the way. Helping guide his red in, or even going in clean. Careful not to scratch. Good position there. A little bit of luck as well involved. But at the end of the day, it's the result that matters. And the result is he now faces an easy black and pots it. 7-4. Crowd is clapping. 11 frames done. Frame number 12. I tip Brian to try and go for a break and dish here. Help to ease off some of the pressure. Not a bad break there, breaking and potting. But it's very rare that I see majority of the balls crossing to the other half of the table. Not the half where the balls are racked, but the other half. Usually, either the balls are evenly distributed, but usually, well, either evenly distributed or most of them on the other half. Only two remained on that half. Interesting. I really see this anyway. That counts for nothing. Yellows it is. I think he can clear this. I tip him to try. Green apple. If he achieves that, that would be the third green apple, the third break and dish. So far, he's managed 2 break and dishes. Caesar has managed 2 break and dishes. He's also managed 1 reverse run. Caesar has also managed 1 reverse run. Each of them has suffered 1 dry break. Those stats are kind of 50-50 in terms of the apples and the breaks, but the scoreline has a different complexion altogether. Caesar with a 3-frame lead, but Brian pulling back. I think he had intended to go for the yellow in this half of the table that has all the reds. A little more difficult for him now. It's not the pot that's difficult, it's the position for the last yellow. He needs to make sure it's not snooker himself. Wow, too much movement maybe. But some awesome planning needs to be made here. Maybe using one of the reds, Caesar's reds, to pot his, to guide his into center, or it was difficult anyway. Caesar back on the table. Will it be 8-4? There's a high chance he could decide to attack away. If he chooses to defend, it's easy enough for him. Brian is only 1 yellow there. So snookering him even is not too difficult. The moment is in attack mode. But I'm sure he's attacking rather comfortably. Even if he messes up a shot like this one, he tried to cannon that red near the black. He still has a way of easily recovering from that, snookering Brian. Just to restrict his flexibility a little. is the snooker. Rather easy to escape, but very difficult to pot. You know, it's quite disappointing when you manage to escape a snooker, but then foul after that. So it's easy enough to escape the snooker. The pot was difficult. The foul, however, was not predictable. Free shot on the visit for Caesar. Develops the one red. His most problematic red. And he attacks now. Three reds here remaining for Caesar. It's making it look so easy. It's been years and years of practice to get to this level, this standard of play. It's no child's play. Several hours of practice. Practice makes perfect, and he perfected that. Black 8-4. It's crunch time. The pressure's on. Brian needs 9 frames, and Caesar needs 5. It's a race to 13, remember. If you've just joined us, this is the losers bracket final. Whoever wins this gets to play the winners bracket contender. That is Kevin, the last man standing in the winners bracket. Those will be our 2 participants for the grand final. 8-4, frame number 13 loading with Caesar set to break. I think this shot is stressing him a little. Not sure why. Didn't look too difficult, especially since there was already a yellow sitting in the pocket there. Waiting to provide support for the other yellow for a combination shot. 4 yellows to go. His first visit of frame number 13. How's that for a spin? Nice left English. One which I appreciate but cannot execute myself. Too much cue ball movement there. And even worse, he pots that yellow. What is he measuring? Pointing at that red there. Thought he may have been trying to measure to maybe use Brian's red to pot his yellow. But whatever it is, he's thought out. He's done it quickly. Quick thinking. Super fine cut. The skill shot was just an extra. But unfortunate snooker, partial snooker there, making it very difficult to pot. He's not snookered, but wants to go cushion first. Failed the attempt. and chance to Brian. This is his first miss on the black as far as this match is concerned. Nice and easy. He pots, but not a nice cue ball position. Snooker maybe. Snooker's in order. Not a difficult one to escape. His chances of potting are 50-50. Angles off. He got the black, but he shook his head. I'm sure he shook his head because he miscalculated the angle or did not execute it well enough. Chance to Brian. Oh, interesting combination shot. I think he's going to try and play position for that red. Careful not to scratch. Came dangerously close to doing so. But he's safe. If he pots this with a good position, I think we can safely say he will run this frame. His chances are very high. His chances of executing a clearance here in this particular visit is down to one. A red is a good potter. So I'm sure he can manage it without much trouble. Okay, for a moment there I feared for him, thinking he was slightly off target, but he managed to pot it. And I think he'll pot this black as well to make it 8-5. 8-5 it is. Peter. Brian is making a nice recovery here. He was trailing massively earlier, like 6 frame gap between the two, but now he's reduced it to 3.
I was just watching and following and enjoying your commentary, and it's only nice the fact that the match is a little bit closer than it was before the first time out for Brian. And I believe it worked out actually right from the time break. He has won 5, while Caesar has won 3, meaning that the time break has indeed worked for him. Of course, also inspired by the fact that he's at home and fighting for an entire Kenyan flag. And with all fans, maybe besides one right behind him, his only problem is that his opponent is still in the leader, and the grand final is getting closer and closer and closer. And while he's down, after the time break, we are seeing one of his better performances in the entire tournament itself, winning 5 against Caesar, while Caesar himself has won 3. The young Kenyan has now gotten a ball to pot on the break, probably and potentially going for frame number 6 for himself. All the way from Kisumu in Western Kenya is where Brian Kiptalam hails. And if he loses this match, he will come 3rd. Maybe he wanted it better after winning those first 2 matches, but even 3rd will be a respectable 3rd. If he comes 3rd, by the way. And for the fact that he's the less fancied of all 7 players that have been participating in this competition, I think he has made a very good account of himself in this tournament. Now, he's one of those boys who have some bit of respect as an African shooter. And he's making the respect even bigger because he's coming most likely within 2 frames of Caesar by making a clearance of this yellow frame. Goes for this tempting shot to the corner pocket, spinning the white ball slightly backwards, and is accurately on point. Maybe the same shot, maybe having a bounce of the white ball off the cushion, just like that, on target, white ball accurate, very good clearance from Brian Kiptalam. He pulls one back. It is 6 for Lotto and 8 for the Scorpion. The race is 13, meaning Caesar needs 5, while Lotto needs 7 of the remaining 11 frames.
Brian is recovering pretty nicely, hey? At some point, the scoreboard read 7-2 in favor of Caesar. In the last 6 frames, Caesar has only won 1. And Brian has won how many? That should be 4. So, what, is it 4?
5 actually.
5 actually. Was it 5? Okay, it was 7-2, so that'll be 4. And 1 for Caesar in the last 5 frames.
And for someone who has been watching only for 15 minutes, who came on the live only 15 minutes ago, they have been seeing probably Lotto winning game frame after frame after frame. And how about this for a chance for Caesar to try and pull another back in the match where his opponent is threatening a comeback? Normally, Caesar is the one that does such comebacks. If you remember the match between Caesar and Brian, the one in the winners bracket where Brian came to the venue with 7 frames leading, courtesy of poor timekeeping from Caesar. And then at one time it was 9-8 with a big attempt of a comeback from Caesar, and then he just came short as the match headed closer to the finish line. You are watching the losers bracket final of the second edition of the ATA Africa Super 8-man competition that had 8 of Africa's best players from 7 different countries being registered only on invitation. From South Africa, Ishmael Mtetwa. From Uganda, Caesar Chandiga, also as defending champion. From Tanzania, Abdallah Hussein. From Zimbabwe, Malvan Makonza. From Zambia, Kelvin Fikoti. And then Jerry being the second South African player who was only the choice of the viewers as another player for inclusion. And of course, Brian Kiptalam representing Kenya, not by invitation, but forcing his way through after winning the Shujaa Kenya Championship, which is Kenya's national open competition.
Peter, I think you need an energy drink. Where did you say Hussein is from?
Tanzania.
So what you said, okay. And where did you say?
You heard wrong. I said Tanzania is neighbors with Zimbabwe.
Oh, that's what you said. All right. Okay.
Chance has presented itself for Caesar to stop this pending comeback from Brian Kiptalam if he can win 1 or 2 frames. Otherwise, the young Kenyan is seemingly becoming a realistic threat to try and tear Caesar's final ticket. And should Brian Kiptalam complete that comeback, this arena will bask into glory. And yes, Caesar does make a miss of a ball to try and present opportunity for Brian to maybe make the unthinkable happen. Mchanapa Band Grill. Our location, the ATA Africa Super 8 competition, second edition. The event, Nairobi, the city. The ATA, the exclusive sponsor, because all 8 players, besides being invited, did not register for a single penny. In a way, you, the subscribers, are the sponsors of these players. The expectation is for them to be paid of their prizes, of the money for which you subscribe to watch. That one is a very slight miss of a very crucial ball in a very crucial frame from a Brian Kiptalam perspective. Caesar seems to be contemplating combination shot, find a way of putting yellow to the center pocket, white ball or another yellow, opening up the corresponding corner pocket where Brian Kiptalam has his red. Maybe Caesar is deciding otherwise. Maybe he's getting his shot wrong. Jeffrey Marvin is asking when Priscilla is coming to Uganda. By the way, she was in Uganda in 2016, I remember, as part of the Zimbabwe national team that represented at the All Africa Pool Championships in Kampala. That was the first time she ate nsenene. What is nsenene?
These little creatures, these insects, and they're yummy. I enjoyed them.
Grasshoppers, eh? One of the few countries in the world where they are such a delicacy. She ate them for the very first time. Now Lotto is now realizing what it means to come so short on winning a frame against Caesar. As long as the black is not in, you are not yet a winner over any frame. Caesar wins frame number 15. It is 9 for Caesar and 6 for Brian Kiptalam in a race to 13. Caesar needs 4. Lotto needs 7 out of 10.
Lotto has now won 6 frames against Caesar. The same number of frames they actually managed to win yesterday against Caesar when they were both in the winners bracket. Of course, it's Caesar having started 7-0 down with the 7-0 walkover after being 35 minutes late. So I think it's safe to say Brian is doing a lot better than he was doing yesterday, because by the end of it all, he had won 6 frames, but those 6 were enough for him. Sorry, actually, it was 4 frames. My bad. Delete that. It was 4 frames yesterday, 6 today. They played a race to 11, and he started off with 7. So he only won 4, and now he's won 6. And now this dry break, he may very well be punished for. I would go for yellows here. What did the champs go for? Looks like he wants to go for the reds, and has already formulated a brilliant plan to open up those 2 reds sitting next to the black. These 2 players are matching each other up equally in terms of the breaks. They've both had 2 dry breaks each, and for each of them, 6 of their breaks have been good enough for them to pot. And how did he think of that? Well done. I wish I could think like them and play like them. As far as the apples are concerned, Brian is leading on the apple stats. He has 5 apples in total, being 4 green and 1 red. Caesar has recorded only 2 green and 1 red. He did a lot better in terms of his apple counts in the previous encounter. Actually, now delete that 1 red, make it 2 after he potted that back. As I was saying, against Jeremiah, he recorded a lot more apples. I think 1 out of every 2 attempts, he succeeded in recording an apple. So far, he only has 4 out of 18 frames. But at the end of the day, what matters most is the result. And currently, the scoreboard reads a 10-6 in favor of Caesar. He needs only 3, and Brian needs 7.
And apologies for that previous network glitch that happened momentarily ago. Now I believe that you're watching images that are as crystal clear as where I am watching this match also on my phone. 10-6, Caesar needing 3, Lotto needing 7, 9 frames to go. Caesar with the break. coming closer to a match against Kelvin for $2,000. But this time, he misses a ball on the break. A dry break it is for Caesar, and an advantage it is for Brian to re-inspire himself, try and make a comeback, which he has really attempted. I'm just thinking that he's being affected by the 5 frames which he lost at the very start of the match. It's what is really haunting him, because even now, while he's been losing a few frames in a row, he's still only 4 frames down. Still leading in terms of count of frames that have been played after his timeout when he went for a time break, having lost 5 frames in a row. And while this match is happening in Nairobi, it will be fondly be supported in Kisumu, where he has most of his fan base. In Western Kenya, of course, he plays for Rakatak Pool Club, where that club is found. For whatever reason, if you are so observant of his right arm, right hand is having Uganda flag on it for whatever reason. Maybe one of the Ugandan players did give it to him. Brian Kiptalam on his last yellow, which he will be wanting to make a sharp cut to the center pocket. He gets the cut right and seems to have gotten the white for the black right. He's really fighting hard to ensure that this frame ends by way of win for him, and a very deserved win for Brian Kiptalam of frame number 17, deservedly with 7 frames won, compared to Caesar's 10, needing 6 now. Brian, while Caesar needs 3 out of now 8. And how about 2 consecutive frames that are won by 1 visit over the table from Caesar and Brian, respectively?
If Brian Offit started this whole encounter with this, kind of stance that he has now, seemingly more focused, I think the score may have been at an even. Don't you think, Peter?
On his perspective, he can only slap himself in the face for that very poor start, those first 5 frames. Not just his fault, by the way, Caesar was just finishing everything, but losing first 5 frames in a row, it is why we are having this current score. He's only now 3 frames down, still has the fight in him, and I'm so proud of him. He actually calls me regularly and just asks me what he should do to improve his game, who should he train with, which country should he go next, which manager should he be under next, that kind of thing. Very down-to-earth boy. He's under the management of a gentleman called Nafiz Kara, who resides in Kisumu, former player in the Ugandan Pool League, now one of the administrators in Kenyan Pool. And I know he's watching this one probably on giant screen at Rakatak Pool Club in Kisumu, where they will be hoping that Brian can inspire himself, make them a happy pool community. He's 3 frames down against a player who is not shy of winning another here at the Mchana Pub and Grill. While each match is being timed for 2 hours, I believe whoever will win this match will be given some time to rest. It could be the whole of 30 minutes if it is Caesar, because he's played 2 matches in succession and very quick succession. Winning the first against Jerry, trying to win the second against Brian Kiptalam. He has to win a third and fourth against Kelvin if he wins this one, by the way, for the chance to take $2,000. If he wins against Kelvin, Then they will have to play again. If Kelvin wins, then it will be Kelvin to take the $2,000, and that is only an if. The same thing shall apply to Brian Kiptalam if he wins this match, because it will be he to face Kelvin for the second time, this time in the grand final. And should Caesar win this match, and maybe the final, then what a week it will have been. $6,000 for the Grand Mchana. And now $2,000 up for grabs tonight. Either he or Brian, whoever loses, is already assured of $500. An assurance. It is that one, win or lose. What is not assured is what will happen to the black ball, because it seems a little bit dead compared to the yellows. Caesar is trying to finish. Oops, there is space between the red ball now, near that corner pocket on the top right of your screen, and the jaw of that same corner pocket, meaning that it is where Caesar will be trying to pot that red ball if he makes a clearance of these yellows, which is actually quite expected. He's choosing to play connection. Of course, it is the less risky shot. I believe he will be drawing the white ball backwards towards that area where he's having his hand. That is the direction of the white ball. And I think it will be okay here. However, has to be accurate. Play black right against the cushion towards that corner pocket where there is the red, either direct or off Brian Kiptalam's red. Either will do. Off the red and in 11-7. He now needs 2. Just 2, while Brian needs the whole of 6 out of 7. Please keep us company for the next 2 or so hours. You can't watch the whole of this match for the last 13 matches that you have been watching and then miss out the final. It is criminal in pool. By the way, there is talk of Caesar making a tour of South Africa. Just been communicating with one of the South African managers who likes him so much, Kubikano Mthembu. He was actually asking me to ask Caesar to start working on his South African visa. He wants Caesar to take them down players from Johannesburg. Had mixed performances, Caesar, when he last toured South Africa, which was earlier this year. Losing out to Jeremiah Naidu twice in 2 big money matches and winning against 3 other South African players. And of course, defeating Eden in a 4-man comp that had Eden, Senzo, Caesar, and Jerry. A race to 13, that one, which ended 13-12. I remember the live stream by Francis Mukwekwe, the Zimbabwean streamer, who must be watching this one in Harare. So guys, this scoring system can be gotten by whoever wants it. You can always use it in your local competitions and national competitions where you're watching. Just contact the ATA, the Advanced Talent Agency. The numbers that appear below that website when you log in for the first time. And it is relatively quite cheap and very user-friendly. It's not just a internet or phone or computer application or software. It is an actual gadget. But a cheap gadget that can be casted to your screen, which can be a television, can be a phone, can be a computer, monitor, and then you can have the world watching and following in a very orderly manner. It helps you as an auto umpire. It helps the referee make accurate decisions. (7-11), still the score is Brian Kiptalam of Kenya trailing against Caesar Chandiga of Uganda in the losers bracket final of the ongoing ATA Super 8 Double Elimination Championship in Nairobi, Kenya. Good queuing from Brian Kiptalam now with a big shot is loading. He has to draw the white ball backwards, moving it, maybe backspin off the cushion and moving towards the top end of the table. Very good shooting from the young Kenyan.
Something you could never do even if your life depended on it. Very good shot from Brian.
Realistically speaking, that is too much of a shot for someone who is only a streamer and commentator. Brian Kiptalam 8 and Caesar Chandiga 11. Rest of 13. 5 frames to go. Actually, 6 frames to go. Caesar needs 2 of the 6, while Brian needs 5. After this one, just a rest for whoever of these players will have 1. But they have to be reminded that Kelvin has been resting for the last 2 or 3 hours. That is the beauty of keeping on winning when it's double elimination competition. You are always fresh as you play because the players that go through the losers bracket take a very longer route. Just imagine if Jerry had beaten Caesar, that would have been the second match he would have been playing today. How much pull he would have needed to do to qualify for the grand final, where he's also facing someone with two lives. Same thing that is happening to Caesar, very similar. Well, Kelvin has played only 1 match. Caesar is playing a second, and he has to beat Kelvin twice to win. One of the frames Caesar is needing may be this one, because Brian has scratched on the break. Big likelihood that Caesar is making a clearance of this red frame. Still an open table, by the way.
You know what, Peter? Sometimes, well, I think there's 2 ways of looking at this. In some way, I feel it's an advantage playing lots of games. In some way, I feel it's a disadvantage. Because obviously, Kelvin is getting to rest. Lots of rest for him. But at the same time, whoever wins here will face him and is nicely warmed up and supercharged. Kelvin, it's been a while since he last played. And maybe he's, I don't know, the engine's now cold. There can be 2 ways of looking at that. I think it's 50-50, really.
If you watch the Billiards Cafe Double Life Classic, a tournament that happened in Lusaka, Zambia, just coming to a month ago, as Caesar aims for the black, by the way, to have a 12th for himself. Mzama, the South African, lost to Aiden in the final, not on table, but final. At the end of the day, these guys are human beings. The guy became too tired. He played pool for 12 straight hours because he took all his lives up to the semi-finals. And then one of the lives was taken down by Aiden in one semi-final. The second life, he took it to the final and played with Aiden again, who had rested a bit, and Mzama was absolutely tired that he couldn't even stand to take a shot, and he was beaten quite easily by Aiden. Ladies and gentlemen, Caesar Chandiga is leading 12-8 against Brian Kiptalam in a race to 13 at the ongoing ATA Super 8 competition, which is in its 2nd edition here at the Mchana Pub and Grill, Nairobi, Kenya. 4 frames to go. Actually, 5 frames to go. Brian Kiptalam needs them all or else succumb to third place, which will be a respectable third place, I have to say, because he has been the noviceest, if I can call, of all players that have been participating in this competition.
Yeah, true that. I couldn't agree with you more about Brian there. And just for a quick rundown of how the players have fared, all of our 8 players, 5 down and 3 remain. The first man to bow out of this was Ishmael Mteto of South Africa, after first losing to Stanford Grivenjinte from Malawi. Then in the second match, he lost to Hussein Abdullah from Tanzania. The second man out was Marvin Mukonza, aka Maluva, who first lost to Caesar Chandigarh, then lost to Jeremiah Gandaganda. Third man out was Stanford Grivenjinte. Jinte first lost to Calvin, and then this morning he lost to Jeremiah. Fourth man out was Hussein. That's a good selection of balls there, don't you think? This may be a clearance. As I was saying, Hussein Abdullah has lost out of this tournament, courtesy of Caesar and Kelvin. Fifth man out, who only just bowed out, is Jeremiah. He first lost to Brian Kiptalam in a deciding match, and then just before this, he lost to Caesar Chandigarh. We have 3 men remaining, and all 3 still in the running for the first prize of $2,000. Second prize will be $1,000, and third prize $500. Caesar still cruising on here. His first visit of this frame. Not as many apples recorded by Caesar as opposed to his last matchup between himself and Jerry. However, for Brian, he's recorded a lot more apples this time than he recorded when he was playing Kelvin. Unfortunate encounter there with that cue ball and the yellow. Anyhow, the break and runs stats is 4 for Brian and 3 for Caesar. On the reverse dishes, it's 3 for Caesar and 1 for Brian. In this entire time, we've only seen 2 fouls. 1 foul break by Caesar and 1 foul break as well by Brian. Actually, there was another foul where Brian was trying to escape a snooker. Managed to escape it, but potted white in the process. Brian, back in business.
Well, you just hope for, from a brand perspective, from a Kenyan perspective, that he wins frame number 21 just to keep the match alive, keep himself alive. He's wearing a very tough face, a very determined face, but it has to be a face of a person that also delivers on the table, because as it stands, he stands no chance to miss a ball, miss a shot, miss a frame, or lose a frame, because he will then have missed a match and will have missed an entire tournament. He's having chance to win frame number 21 here. His will-be problem ball is that red ball, which is close to his current standing position, near that cushion on the top of your screen. As he shoots, as he aims for these 3 other reds, as he contemplates how to finish them, he'll be having that very ball in his mind. And while for Caesar, 2 yellows, both of which are poised for being taken down because they are in pretty much good space, just around the left and right of the table, respectively. Even when he loses, should he lose Brian Kiptalam, I will just have to take a bow down for him, because I never ever expected him to come third, not in a tournament which also has Ishmael and Jinte and Maluva and Jerry and Abdullah Hussein. Players, all of him, he has no right to call his equals, and yet he has already outshined and outperformed them in this competition. Now, he's up against a player who many were thinking from the start of the tournament that was the nominal favorite for the $2,000, and yet he's still having a chance, playing himself into the match. Could win this frame, most likely him playing that red ball to the center pocket now on the right of your screen. And it's in, but where's the white going? I'm not so sure that he has enough grip of the black to try and pot it. I am just not sure. He can see it and can see it quite well. Whether he or not he can pot it, I just can't tell. And the white ball is naturally played against the yellow, which also moves towards that corner pocket on the bottom right. And could also pot it, but unintentionally goes for the bank and misses it. Will he snooker? Not really. Very likely that that has been his last shot in this tournament. Caesar will never ever hesitate to punish you when a chance like that comes begging, not with $1,000 at stake, because finishing this yellow frame will guarantee him at least $1,000 with a chance to try and beat Kelvin twice and add one more thousand to make it 2,000. Caesar versus the black for the grand final. Yes, he does. For the second time in a row, the Ugandan has qualified for the final of the ATA Super 8 competition, this time having taken down Brian Kiptalam, who has given a very good account of himself, not just in this match, but also the tournament in its entirety. With such a little time having been in pool, only having been the last person to be invited in this event, courtesy of winning Kenya's national championships, and yet plays to entertain and excite and make his country, Kenya, proud. Final result, as we await the upcoming grand final between Caesar and Kelvin. For now, it has been Brian Kiptalam 8 and Caesar Chandiga 13. See you shortly.